SM Investments has set a high bar for sustainability with impressive achievements and ongoing initiatives. Now we're excited to hear more about these efforts from Tim Daniels, the Chief Sustainability Officer of SM Investments, live here in the studio. Tim, welcome to the show. You are our first live guest here. It's an honor.
Well, that's an honor for me too. Thank you for having me, Paolo. It's nice to be here.
You know, what I love about what SM is doing right now, we were talking a bit off the air, and you were talking about how SM Investments, how the SM Group treats this entire organization like an ecosystem, which just fits perfectly with the sustainability goals that SM does have. Could you tell us a bit more about the ecosystem that is being created with regards to all of this?
Yes, so the ecosystem really is the key word here. I mean, many people will think of SM as very large, but we actually started out as a series of small companies in retailing and banking and property, and latterly things like logistics and renewable energy. And they all work together in order to create businesses that support each other and grow. So first of all, there's the ecosystem of our businesses that work together. But then we look at the ecosystem of all of our stakeholders around us. You know, we've got within the group 130,000 employees. We look at them as stakeholders who need to have good employment and opportunities. We've got about 100,000 MSMEs that work with the group. We've got 20,000 tenants in malls. And, you know, we need to provide the right environment for them in order to get customers in, for them to sell their produce. We need to provide them with routes to market. In our retailing alone, we've got over 60,000 MSMEs in our supply chain. And they need help in figuring out the best things to sell to customers. Sometimes we need to adjust the product mix because customers' needs change, or we need to help them highlight what are the green products that customers want. So everybody needs to win in this.
Yeah.
And they're all housed, in our case, within typically a mall. And that mall is part of a community. So we need to make sure it's also got the services that are particular to that community's needs. We can attach entertainment, we can attach government services, healthcare, schools. It becomes an economic hub over time. It generates employment, it generates taxes, and it helps with responsible development in the regions. So that whole stakeholder ecosystem is important. And then you can take it to a third level as an ecosystem. And you can look at the actual physical environment we have, the physical, natural beauty and heritage of the Philippines, where we need to minimize our impact that we're having on things like water and waste and plastics and energy usage. And we also need to make sure that we're investing in ways to protect that environment for things like climate change, because we need to protect our assets, but we also need to protect the communities from the effects of what happens. And so we spend a lot of money on those efforts as well. So yes, ecosystem is a very important concept for us. We want to make sure everybody wins, because if everybody wins, then our business is stronger, and ultimately we win and we grow.
Well, we were talking a bit off the air a while ago just about the efforts, the investment made by SM in terms of sustainability. Net zero is not necessarily something as achievable, and it's not that you're not idealistic. It's more of you're being realistic about the approach of SM with regards to sustainability. Is that right?
Yes. So, frankly, there's a lot of pressure on corporates all around the world to go and stand up and say, we're going to be net zero by a certain date. But actually, what we're finding around the world is that companies are finding that quite hard to deliver. And you do see international corporates pulling back on what they previously said they can do. So for us, we're very, very aware of the need to avoid anything that looks like greenwashing. So we've never gone out there and said we're going to be net zero. We've taken an approach of looking at the practical actions that we can do and then add it up and see how far we can push this. So some of our businesses, in our property arm, for example, have already managed to become net zero. We have a portfolio of buildings in BGC, the net building, which the neo buildings, they're already net zero. SM Prime, our property arm, has managed to get to 50% of their energy use comes from renewable sources, and they're looking to try and expand it. And we're looking at all the businesses. When we're reducing our footprint, the first thing you do is become very energy efficient. So it's LED lighting, it's efficient use of air conditioning, ways in which we can lower the amount of impact we're having. But the really big impact comes when we start moving away from carbon usage into renewable energy. And the problem we've realized is there isn't enough renewable energy in the Philippines. So we can't actually declare a net zero goal for ourselves unless there is enough renewable energy for us to use. And that's led us into trying to create more. So BDO, our bank, is actually currently funding 59 renewable energy projects around the country in order to try and create that supply, which we can then use. And at the parent company, SM Investments, we invested in a geothermal plant. And we are currently producing geothermal steam, of which the Philippines is one of the countries with the most. We're producing about 300 megawatts of steam today, and we're drilling and exploring 6 other areas where we are hoping to find enough steam to double that production over the next approximately 5 years.
Yeah, you know, with all of that, obviously we've talked a lot about the energy. We talked a lot about the expenditures of SM with regards to the energy, and of course trying to get to net zero, or at least getting towards that as far as we could. But another aspect of SM that has been really being pushed forward is the waste and water management that SM has been doing all throughout their properties, all throughout their malls. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is particularly within our property arm. And remember, we've got 86, sizable malls around the Philippines. That's a pretty big footprint.
Yeah.
So we have an entire engineering department that looks at our impact on environmental issues like this and comes up with solutions. So they have energy management systems, water management systems. A lot of analysis goes into it. Our buildings are increasingly designed to reduce this kind of impact. An example is water. We now, I think last year, we recycled over 14 billion gallons of water. On average, about 30% of our water use gets recycled. And that then goes into other uses within the malls. So it goes towards flushing toilets, it goes towards water which is cleaned and usable for cooling purposes. And it's also used just to water the plants.
Tim, perfect. I mean, just talking a bit about that, I also want to wrap things up here with the governance required to actually do this, because obviously to have SM push towards sustainability in the way that they're doing, it requires a type of leadership structure to actually do that. So to wrap things up quickly, could you tell us a bit about that, just to let us all know why this direction's happening?
Yes, so the tone very much comes from the top of the organization. The board, the leadership, and the management is really very positively pushing forward on all sustainability agendas. We've just talked a bit about the E and the S parts of ESG, but the G is really important. We have just won a bunch of awards just last night at the Institution.
And congratulations.
Thank you. 4 of our companies won 5 arrows in the Institute of Corporate Directors Awards. And this is recognizing the practices that we have in place and some recent moves. For example, we have an independent director who is the chairman of SM Investments, who is not from the founding family, and he's not from within the group. He's the former chairman of the central bank, Armando Tatanco Jr. He is truly independent and very well recognized. And we expanded the board of SM Investments early this year from 8 to 9 members, bringing in another independent director, which means 5 out of 9 are independent. And that's quite a bold move for a Filipino company.
Absolutely, and of course, not only that, a very diverse board as well, coming in and leading SM the way it is. And of course, I wish I had an hour more to talk about sustainability with you, Tim, but unfortunately, we're out of time for the moment. But I'd love to have you again some other time to talk more about sustainability here.
I'd love to talk further in the future.
Thank you. So you're a great first guest here
Thank you very much.
on Weather HQ. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's Tim Daniels, the Chief Sustainability Officer of SM Investments.